Hi, my name is Derek Garcia, and today I will be reviewing the Salus tool by Coinbase. To be clear, this is not to be confused with Microsoft Salus. However, if you are looking for Microsoft Salus, we do have another video on that tool. Coinbase Salus is a Docker container that uses a series of scanners to find vulnerabilities or potential risks within a given project directory. The tool is able to determine which kind of project it's been given and apply the appropriate scanning tools. Currently, the tool supports Ruby, JavaScript, Python, Go, and Rust projects. It also supports a series of scanning tools, but has the ability to have more scanners manually added. I'll be demonstrating the tool on an Ubuntu server, so I'll switch over to that now. And in this directory, I've cloned two projects for examples. One is a vulnerable Go project, and the other is a semi-secure Python project. I'll start with the Go project first. To run the tool, we just use the following command. Here we are. Just to briefly break down the Docker command, the -rm flag just removes the container after completion. The -t flag here allows for an internal terminal, so for interrupts in case you need to terminate the program. And the -v flag binds the external target directory, so in this case the present working directory / the Go vulnerable, or you can just change into the current directory and just pass in the present working directory, and just binds that to the internal home directory. So after a moment, we can view the output. Alright, now that it's completed, go back up to the top real quick. So I'll get back to this failed to load file in a little bit, but in short, it just has something to do with the Salus configuration file. Next is the list of scanners that Salus runs. By default, all relevant scanners will be related to the project, will be used. If there are any failed tests, it'll be shown below, which we can sort of see right now. But we can see a general list of what failed. So the GoSec failed. Here we can find that there was a CWE issue. We can see its severity, or how confident it is that it's an error. A few other tests passed the test. Another scanner failed. They found some vulnerabilities here. And we can see it's a nice JSON file, easy to parse. Then we see a nice sort of report and the final status. So we see each scanner, their running time, if they were required, if they passed, and in this case, overall, the scan failed because GoSec was an enforced scanner, which means if that failed, then the entire scan will fail. We'll get into more about how you can customize that later. But once again, I'll run the tool on the Python project this time. The same sort of input, this time just with the pysec directory instead of the Go. Alright. And once we get back up to the top, we can see that different tool scanners were used because it's a Python, not a Go project. You can see things like GoSec and GoSV aren't in here because it's not a Go project. So it's able to sort of use which scanners are relevant. And again, we can see sort of what happens here. Then, in this case, we can see that there's not necessarily things like a CVE warning or anything critical. Rather, here it's a use and of assert, which is just poor code practice, where it's not necessarily crucial, but it should be, other practices should be used. Salus also allows for a certain degree of customization with the scanners and the resulting reports, which I've sort of been alluding to. I'll only go over a basic config file today, but I'll link the documentation for more details below. Config files can be retrieved locally or over HTTP, which could be useful in a more centralized environment. You can just store it in one place and pull from the same spot. Salus by default will look for a salus.yaml project or file in the project. but if it doesn't find one, we get that failed to load error we saw earlier. As we can see up here, it didn't find the file, so it uses a default config file, which is on the GitHub. But in short, it just allows all the scanners and enforces the ones they have deemed to have low false positive rates. But you can change that if you'd like. I'll be using the Python project just to show how this works, but it'll work with any sort of supported project directory. And I've already made a sample one in the Python project. So just a brief overview, project name is just the name of the file. This is going to generate a report here. It's just going to write it to that current directory into that mysalus report.txt. This active scanner is, you can determine which scanners to use. In this case, you can use all to just use all the relevant ones. You can specify specific ones. You can do none for some reason if you'd like. And the enforced ones are the ones that will fail the entire scan if they fail. So if a certain scan is active but not enforced and it fails, the entire scan will still succeed. We saw it earlier with one of them. It was in yellow, where it had failed but it wasn't enforced, so the entire scan, it failed regardless, but it didn't fail because of that. So that's this file. So just to demonstrate the default, I'm just going to copy it to a salus.yaml file into the project directory. And I will just run the command again. Alright, so this time it failed, which makes sense because we enforced bandit and bandit failed, so the entire scan failed. And at the beginning, we don't see that missing file because it found the file that we put in. So not only can you do just the default file, you can store them in a directory within your project. So just to demonstrate that, I'm just going to remove the default, and we have to pass in the path of our config file with a config flag. So just the config and then the file, this is just wherever I have it loaded. If you just had it directly in your project directory, no internal folders or anything, you would just replace this sort of, I have it in salus-conf directory, you would just replace that with a dot to indicate that it's in the current, present directory. So once again, I'll run it, and it's the same exact file, so we'll get the same report. I'm just showing that you can take it from a different location. And there we go. Lastly, I'll show the report that my config file generated. So these two can also be stored locally or posted to via HTTP. So it's nothing fancy, it's just literally what we had seen to the standard output. It just copies it to a text file. What's nice about it is we get this nice scanner box as well, which could be useful for some sort of report presentation or something like that, just to demonstrate. Overall, Coinbase Salus is an easy-to-use security scanning tool. Its ability to choose from a series of scanners that best suit the project is convenient when working with a wide array of languages. The output is fast and usable, and the option to configure the tool to suit your needs allows for easy configuration for whatever environment it's been used in. But with that, that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to us at learn.sbom.com. Take care.
Thank you for checking out this video. If you really liked it, be sure to check out our other videos right here, and then you can also subscribe right up top here. And again, thank you. Bye-bye.